everybody, it's Andrew Gaffney with Retail Touchpoints, and I'm here at NRF, and I'm joined by Russell Young with StrataCash. Thanks for joining me today, Russell.
You bet, absolutely.
So a lot of talk here about influencing the customer journey.
Yeah.
And different touch points, different ways to do that along the way.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about how you're helping retailers do that.
Well, what we help do is we try to help retailers understand kind of where are those moments inside of that store journey where consumers are most acceptable to influence and behavior, right? And we want to try to do it in a smart way that's not too invasive, but kind of help meet the customer on their terms. So whether they're coming in and they're looking to kind of self-drive an experience on their mobile, or if they need a little help within the store to be educated on products, to help connect and be informed. We want to make sure that no matter how they look to engage, we're enabling those touch points for the consumer during that shopping experience.
Right. So one of the things you touched on is mobile, and one of the themes at the booth here is mobile activation.
Yeah.
So talk about how that takes place and some of the ways technology helps to influence that.
Yeah, so if you look at what is a typical mobile experience, the same way, let me step that back for a second and think about, with .com, right? And the big promise behind multi-channel was let's bring .com into the store.
Right.
But it can't be a traditional .com experience, right? It doesn't work. It needs to be curated for the store environment. The exact same thing with mobile. If I'm on the bus on my way to the store, I'm in a different mindset than I am when I'm in.
Right.
So what we want to use is technology in store that makes it a much more relevant experience for the customer when they're in there. If that's how they prefer to shop, is through that mobile, then let's help them use that to help guide them throughout the store, help deliver relevant information, and make a purchasing decision while they're there.
Let's talk about shopper marketing.
Okay.
So obviously, as brands are trying to reach sort of that golden moment of truth, as they talk about, what are some of the ways that that's changing?
Well, it's become more than just that final moment of truth that we've all known about for years, right? There's actually those multiple moments within that retail journey. And there's different times and different ways that you want to engage during those moments. Part of what retailers are trying to understand now is, what are those moments in the store? How do people shop my store? And how do I most effectively communicate with them in that moment, right? Whether they're ready to buy, they're ready to be informed, or at the end of the shopping trip, it's that moment of how do I reward or remind them that they're a valued customer and we want them to come back, we appreciate that business.
Right. And what are some of the ways they can do that with signage? I mean, is that sort of not just a checkout, or what are the ways you're seeing that can be used throughout the retail experience?
Well, with some of that signage, if a retailer has a smart enough network in the store and they're able to identify who those people are, then without being too creepy, to use that term, there are opportunities to deliver personalized messages that relate specifically to that person. Thank you for buying today. Just understanding that they're a customer that shops their store frequently and responding as such.
Okay. And an important part too of all this is the intelligence and the analytics that take place too. Can you talk about the role of that?
Absolutely. Analytics it's a big monster the retail industry as a whole is trying to tackle. And we're finding that there's more and more ways to gather analytics, bring in all that data, but at the end of the day, it's all about really making sense of it, right? The way we view analytics is, how do we fine tune these experiences, right? When people engage with the experiences in store, are they getting what they want out of it? Are they learning? Or are they just abandoning this, right? I think we've gotten really smart on .com in the past and pulling analytics from that experience. But now we're trying to make that more relevant in the store across a wider variety of touch points. And I think we're getting there, but we still got some work to do on it.
Yeah. And we talk about how technology helps address this. Are there specific solutions, new products you guys have introduced here that you're talking to retailers to help accomplish some of this?
We are. We're introducing a couple of new products here. One is an all-in-one display. What we find that is it's the right size. We're able to put it on end caps, we're able to put it on in aisle, basically ready to get it right next to the merchandise, right? Obviously interactive, but more importantly are some of the other features that make it unique. And what that is both forward and rear facing cameras. So what that camera technology actually does is, from the forward, we can initiate messaging based upon proximity or maybe who that is in front of it, recognizing the demographic. But more importantly, there's the back side of it, okay? So as a brand, if I've got a display next to my merchandise, well, I want to make sure that that's actually my merchandise back there. So what we're able to do with this camera technology is do merchandise validation to make sure that it is on brand and the right products are being stocked there, and then also measure that level of merchandise on the stock so that if it's low on an end cap, for example, I can alert a category manager, someone in the store that can bring over and replenish the stock.
So what are the other elements, as you talk about changing merchandising, making it smarter, what are the other elements you mentioned earlier was responsive merchandising? Can you talk a little bit more about that and what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So where responsive merchandising comes into play is, along the lines of this strategy of still how we're trying to bridge the online and the offline together in that physical environment, right? So what we think about there is, as a customer is in store and they're in that final moment of truth, if you will, and they have product in hand, as they engage with product, we're changing the messaging, right? So if I've got a display that maybe appears to be a passive display, but as I engage with the product, it informs me more about it. It helps me make an educated decision. At the same time, it can help add conversion and drive to other products that are complementary. And that way, obviously the point there is once someone has that product in hand, driving that conversion and getting them to go ahead and take that onto the checkout.
Right. So are you seeing different applications in different verticals of retail now where digital signage might have just been for bigger boxes in the past? I mean, are you seeing specialty shops use it differently than grocers? Or
the proliferation of digital signage has really gone to this point beyond where I expected it originally, and it's very refreshing to see that everyone is using it, right? And there's different ways. A specialty retailer is going to have a different audience than big box.
Right.
And again, it's basically the same underlying technology. It's how you're using it in that space and how you're affecting that consumer at that point in time.
Right. One of the things you touched on earlier is conversions. Is that one of the really important metrics that you're hearing more from retailers, that this is something that can help with that conversion process?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about increasing that basket size and driving conversion.
Right.
That's really where you're going to get your ROI.
Capturing the customer while they're there.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, thanks very much. It's been really interesting.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.